that's just the goal is neat to be able to go, and I want to see that somewhere on your website. I think you need to have a picture of that with each of the counties and when you've been there, because I think that's important for people to know that in Texas, that where you're going. One of the other quotes that I wanted was that you had here, freedom mentalist.
Yes.
And this is, you had put this out in a blog and got carried a couple different places. I saw this and I loved it, though. Our freedom does not need to be defended. It needs to be liberated.
Well, Rob, where that came from was I've traveled a lot with candidates running on the state level, the local level, the federal level, and all the time they say they want to defend our freedoms, defend our liberty. And I just want somebody to stand up in the audience and shout, tell me where I'm free, tell me where I have liberty. I don't think we are free in any way. Every aspect of our lives is monitored, rationed, or controlled by someone 3,000 miles away, whether it's someone in Washington, D.C. or someone in California who works for Google and monitors everything anyway.
Yeah.
But we're not free. We don't have liberty. I love this idea that they see themselves as standing there with a sword on the battlefield and liberty's behind them and they're protecting it from evil. But I think if they just turned around, they'd look and see that it's not there anymore. It's gone. It's been stolen. It's our job to take these walls that we have either built around ourselves or we've allowed the liberal agenda to build around us. I'm not happy enough to stand on the wall and defend what little liberty we have left. I want us to leap over the wall and charge back and take back territory that was stolen or that we gave away too easily. And so when I say freedom mentalist, to me that's beyond conservative. Conservative means that you want to maintain things as they are, that you want to protect them as they are. I mean, look it up in the dictionary. It's there. To me, we need to go beyond what it is as it is. We need to shoot for taking back what we've given away, what's been stolen. We need to make it our full mental, our full lifestyle. Environmentalists, when they wake up in the morning, what they eat, what they drink, what they drive, whether they even drive something or if they walk or ride a bike, everything is determined by what do they think is the best thing for the environment. And that's the point we need to get to when it comes to our freedom and our liberty. It needs to dictate our whole day, where we work, how we spend our money. They say, you can determine what your priorities are through your checkbook. Look at your checkbook. Is it going to bringing back freedom, restoring our nation, bringing it back to the values that it was founded on, or is it going towards just really keeping it as it is? For me, as is not enough anymore. We've got to fight to take it back, and so it's not enough to be conservative. I think you've got to be a freedom mentalist.
And you go into this a little bit more on your website, LelaForSenate.com, and you've got the issues, and you talk about supporting the Constitution,
right,
and about getting back to making sure that each piece of legislation contains an explanation of its constitutional authority.
Well, and right now, the Tea Party group and the conservative groups within the House, they had that requirement. Of course, the Senate doesn't have that right now, but the House does, and I think that's wonderful. I'd love to see more documentation on whether or not they did it and how well it's worked for them. But yeah, absolutely support the Constitution. And you asked me some of the issues that are most important to me. The national debt is, I'm going to honestly say, is number 2. Number 1 for me is elections integrity, because we can be right about the issues all day long, and it will not matter if the opposition can lie, cheat, and steal the elections, which it makes me very excited that so many governors in the last few weeks have signed election ID, voter ID bills. I know Governor Perry's getting on that. I know that Nikki Haley has done that. So I think it's wonderful. That's our top priority. To me, number 2 is the national debt. 3 is being pro-life. And then you can just go on and on from there.
And you're right. You can keep going on, but
the
biggest, but if you get those top ones and you have that focus,
right,
I think that's a lot of that is keeping yourself focused, because so much of the time that people talk about their politicians, well, they don't have a backbone, they don't have a core value.
Right.
And I think that's one of the key things that you're trying to bring to the front here, is that you do have a focus and you do have a set of core values.
Well, and I get frustrated that people within the Republican Party or the Libertarian Party, whatever, people want to divide you. They want to know, are you a social conservative or a fiscal conservative? And honestly, I believe they're completely intertwined. You can't be one without being the other. A perfect example is the national debt. If you're pro-life, the national debt is definitely desperately important to you, because that level of debt is going to be used as an excuse to go ahead and continue funding Planned Parenthood because they'll say you can't afford more children, to continue pulling the plug on senior citizens because they'll say you can't afford to take care of them, to reduce care or eliminate care for people who are sick or in need or maybe have permanent disability. They'll use that as an excuse. If you are pro-life, then you are radical about fixing this national debt. And if you are a fiscal conservative, then you are all about being a social conservative, about being pro-life, because quite frankly, we can't pay the debt if we don't have people here to do it, if we don't have enough workers to do it. I mean, it's going to take, right now, it takes 3 workers for every 1 person on Social Security to support that person on Social Security. Well, my parents' generation, not my parents had 4 kids, but my parents' generation had significantly fewer children than will replace them when they come to retire. Where are we going to get that money? How are we going to be able to take care of them? Where are we going to get the support staff in the hospitals and in people's homes to care for this significant number of seniors? We've got to be thinking ahead. We've got to be planning ahead. So if you're a fiscal conservative, you're also a social conservative, because you know you've got to deal with that fiscal issue.
Well, and we're currently at the 3-to-1. We're going to go 2-to-1 in another 10 to 15 years.
If not faster.
If not faster.
Because I've heard some people say, well, Social Security is about to disappear. I might as well go ahead and take it early.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing.
And that's it. And I think most people, I'm hearing that all across the board.
Yeah.
Is that from even our elected politicians at the local level. There isn't any more money in Washington. That I hear people saying, I'm just going to go ahead and take what I can get now.
And there's not even the money at the states. We have states that are bankrupt. We have counties going bankrupt. I know you know this.
Well, and let's see what our caller has to say tonight. Hi, you are live on We the People, and do you have a question for Lela tonight?
Yeah, this is Sean Blakely here from San Marcos. And the question I was going to have for Lela is, you're talking about the attitude we have to have as we go forward because of the debt and everything, but education is where a lot of these kids are being indoctrinated to swallow the liberal line and the socialist line. And one of the big things, and it's an elephant in the room for every Republican, is No Child Left Behind. I'd like to see it overturned. Where do you stand on that?
Well, actually, I'm glad you asked that question. And what was your name again, Sean?
Sean Blakely.
Sean, okay. Thank you for calling in. I really appreciate it. I am a pretty limited government kind of person. I think the only government we really need to have is a common national defense. I think the Department of Education needs to go. I think that each state, actually I believe it needs to be the most local. I think it needs to be each county and city determining how every single education dollar needs to be spent, not someone even at the state or at the federal level, because each person, each child is different. They're individual. They have amazing gifts and talents that are gifts from God, and no one 3,000 miles away is going to have any idea how to best educate that child. But I agree, it's a major indoctrination issue. I know that a lot of people are going for homeschooling. They're going for private schools. They're looking to change districts so that their children can get a better education instead of indoctrination. I believe that it has to be overturned. I believe that it's completely failed. I think the Department of Education has failed, and I think we need to keep every single dollar that goes to the federal government actually needs to stay within the counties. I don't think the state should even collect it. I think it needs to be the most local level. Does that answer your question, Sean?
And I think I dropped Sean by accident.
Okay, I hope I did. Call back in if I didn't.
Yeah, if not, Sean, call back in. I'm sorry, I was trying to lower the volume there, but the education is a key thing, because I think, as you know, one of the things that we talk about is when you're limiting government, what are some of the departments that we can do without? What are some of the things that we can do without at the federal level? Education department always comes up, but you know, what are some of the things that you see as senator that you would just, if you could start chomping away, that you would do?
Well, Rob, like I just said, pretty much only a common defense is what I think our federal government should be for. I think immigration, we have a federal government that's not enforcing immigration law. It's suing states who are trying to enforce it. So that's not working out very well either. I can see having a national immigration standard and having, you know, that as one of the departments. Other than that, I'm really saying everything needs to be at the most local level, at the counties and the cities, and then to the state if necessary. Maybe somewhat for transportation, but even then, there's no guarantees with our government that they don't take the money they collected for transportation and shift it to another program, and that's it, you're done. But it happens at the state level as well. I mean, money that was supposed to go in our highway fund actually was transferred to the state employee retirement fund. And a lot of people don't know that, but billions of dollars now are going to retirement fund when our money had gone to fix our roads, fix our highways. Roads that, I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to Dallas, but out I-35 coming in and out of Dallas, it's been under construction for 10 years. Yeah. I mean, it's insane. They have the money, they have the ability, they continue to shift it. I think everything needs to be at the most local level because it's far easier to get in your mayor's face and say, what did you do with each dollar, than it ever has been to get up in front of your governor, to get in front of even your state rep, to get in front of your U.S. rep or your senator, and definitely to get in front of the president. I think it all needs to be local. I think each state needs to determine its own policy concerning the environment, concerning, you know, what else, education, concerning actually health care and the care of their populations that are underserved or that are, you know, impoverished. I think it needs to be at the most local level. People need to be held accountable for how they spent the money, and then the people who took the money for whatever reason, because they were down on their luck or they're just not disciplined, they need to have to look people in the eye that they're taking money from and using. They have to look those people in the eye when they walk down the street every day and be held accountable for how they're spending that money. I think we've lost accountability in our nation. I think that as a Christian nation and founded on Judeo-Christian principles, accountability was one of the most important things to the Founding Fathers, and we've lost that completely. So strictly local on almost everything, Rob.
Well, and it's always neat because I was down Tuesday night and talked about the money that we're sending here going up at the federal level. The city of San Marcos is number 3 in the state per capita for money spent for lobbying the federal government.
Yes. And y'all aren't the wealthiest county in the state, so
no.
That's just amazing.
And, you know, we're sitting here in the beginning of the meeting, we're sitting here talking about $350,000 it's being cut.
Yes.
And yet we're spending $250,000 over the last 2 years for lobbyists in Washington.
Yes.
And I had some of the council members afterwards, they pulled me aside and said, yeah, we need to keep that money here. There's no money in Washington anyway. We need to keep that money here to start off with. But, you know, then I'm going to grocery shopping in H-E-B, and, you know, I get to see these same council people here looking me in the face that we're talking to.
Right.
So that we're all on that same level. And that's, I think, the thing that's important that people are missing is that ability that we can talk, we can have a discourse, I can tell you what I feel, and I know where you stand, but that there's an eye-to-eye contact that we know who is responsible for that money, and in the end, we're all one community.
Exactly, and I think that it's far easier, you know, I don't know about you, Rob, but I'm a sucker for those charities where it's the bucket at the register and it's got the little kid who needs heart surgery. I mean, I'm emptying my wallet of anything I have to give to those kids because they're very real for me. People want to give, they do, but what they don't want to do is give into a black hole. They don't know where the money's going. Now, I'd heard a statistic once, and I've tried to find it and I can't anymore, but I would love for someone to either confirm or deny that almost 50 cents of every dollar we send to Washington is spent just on administration and bureaucracy. Well, when you give to a charity, if you found out half of what you give never made it to the kid who needed it, you wouldn't give to that charity. So we need to get rid of the large bureaucracy. We need every penny to really stay most local to the people. I'm more than happy to give to people who are in need. I've been given to when I was in need and have been so grateful to be able to look those people in the eye and thank them. I think that's what we need to move back to, and we don't have that when every dollar is going to the federal government or even to the state government most of the time.
Yeah, because if you keep that money local and you keep those needs local, and people know what that is going for, it makes a difference. At the food bank this week, I had someone that had been helping us out that had been there all day long, and they were putting together all the food, and they said that was great, it was neat, but what they really got the buzz out of was that last hour when we went out to distribution, and they got to see the smiles on the people and the people coming together that weren't able to go and to get the food stamps, or that didn't want to go into these programs, or that just needed that extra little bit of a helping hand. or that were disabled or elderly, you know, those kind of things,
right.
that we were able to go out and help a couple hundred families. And I think that's what it comes down to at the local level.
Absolutely.
Is people helping each other, and that's what you're saying, is that people want to see where that money's going and where that time is going.
They really do. I don't think people are greedy. I don't think that they're selfish. I think they want to share everything that they have. I mean, a perfect example is when this economy got tough, my husband and I, we went ahead and planted a garden, and my husband has turned our whole yard into a garden. And what we knew was we wanted to not only feed ourselves, but we wanted to be able to give to the church, because we knew they knew people in need, but then anybody else we knew that would be in need. We know a number of seniors, our own family, sometimes when it gets a little tougher, we wanted to be able to give to other people. And I think the American people are like that. They just want to be able to look that person in the eye and make sure that is this all you need? Can I give you more? Is this the best way to help you? Sometimes money isn't necessarily the best way to help a person. Sometimes it's the networking and connection. You need a job. I've got a cousin who owns a place. We're going to work together. They can't do any of that with the red tape and the bureaucracy and strangers administering their lives. So I think we can do it, but it's gonna take everybody being willing to let go of that, what they think is a safety net with the federal government. It's not safe. It's a spider web, and we are stuck on it. We are trapped, and if we do not get out, it will literally take down our nation. It will take down our children, and they will have nothing to thank us for.
Well, I think that's one thing I tell a lot of people, is that safety, that feeling, that's how you get hooked, is,
yes.
Well, we're here to help make you feel safe, and we're here to help give you that security. And
right.
Really, you don't want that safety, you don't want that security,
no,
because
it comes
then
with
you
strings
become
attached.
complacent. Well, you become complacent.
Yep,
If you don't make yourself stronger, if you are not constantly being pushed,
right,
and out there on the edge, really, then you're not going to, I don't think we grow as a society.
Right.
And so, that safety net that you're talking about isn't so safe. And I think people have to
not at
realize
all.
that.
Like I said, it's a spider's web. It really is. It's sticky and it's entangling. And once they get you in one way, they want to attach you in another way. They want to hook you in another way, one program after another. And it's not safe. It may get comfortable, but I mean, people can be sick for a long time before they realize they're going to die, and that's kind of where we are right now. We've been sick, we've been addicted to this idea of unaccountable free money on various items, issues, programs, and projects, and now we're realizing how sick we are. We're getting ready to not be able to afford our nation.
Well, we're going to go ahead and close out the interview. Thank you for calling tonight. But just for your last minute, is there something you'd like to tell our viewers and the folks out in Texas? And we're going worldwide here, too. We have folks that tune in from over in England with us. So
wonderful, wonderful. I want to thank you for being committed and being involved, for taking the time out of your day when you could be doing a number of things to listen to what one crazy person has to say about this country. But what I can tell you is I would love your support. I would love you to check out all 8 candidates and then decide if I'm your best candidate, because I'd much rather people make a very informed vote than to choose me for lack of information. Go out there, look it up, use Google, use startpage.com. But my name is Lela Pittenger. I am a candidate for the United States Senate. I have a website, Lela, L-E-L-A, for Senate.com, and a Facebook page as well. And I just want to thank you for your time. Thank you so much, Rob.
And we'll post all that on our Facebook page, and we'll go on ahead and link to you. And thanks for coming on tonight.
Thanks.
It's been fun,
I really
and
appreciate it.
Glad you enjoyed it. And